الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين، لا سيما بقية الله في العالمين روحه وأرواح العالمين بصراط المحجن بالهدى. ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. اللهم كل وليك محمد بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا معينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا ومتعه فيها مقيما. For the hastening and return of our Imam, please recite salawat. Last night we started to talk about dua al-iftitah, one of the very important du'as that we have, a more reliable one in terms of the chain of narrators. We have a direct order from the Imam. Recite this on every night of Ramadan. Of course, unfortunately, because of the timing and people, and especially this place, so we have to leave at 10:30. We're doing it here before Maghrib time, and that's not at night time. But anyway, we've been told to recite this every night. Now we said that the du'as that we receive from the Ahlul Bayt are not just things to read and there's going to be an effect. Let's just do it for thawab, for rewards in the day of judgment. That's not the point in them. The point in them is we need to understand them so that when we recite them, we're not just reading these words and reciting them. We are actually requesting what the Imam is saying. The words that he mentions, we are also requesting that. That can only happen with proper understanding. The first passage of the dua begins with Hamd. Allahumma inni aftatihu thana'an bihamdik. We said that this concept of Hamd, praise as we call it, is constantly repeated in our daily lives. The Holy Quran opens, just like this dua, with Hamd. Surah Al-Fatiha, the opening surah of the Holy Quran, begins with Hamd, which we're supposed to recite 10 times a day at the very least. In ruku we're supposed to say this, in sujood we're supposed to say this, before sujood we're supposed to say this, in tashahhud it is recommended to say, and in tasbihat Hazrat Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha it is also recommended to say. Which I hope we're all practicing that after our prayers we're saying these adhkar, which according to hadith, the tasbihat of Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha is an example of what the verse says. We have a verse in the Holy Quran that says, "Udhkurullah dhikran kathira." Hadith says, this tasbih is one of those dhikr kathir the verse is talking about. Alright. We wanted to explain a little bit about Hamd. What is Hamd? What is this praise? One thing about it that we found in Hadith was that it is the best way to be thankful. It is the best way to express shukr. Recite a salawat. So we started to talk about shukr a little bit. I want to give us a couple of effects of shukr. I wanted to have a deeper understanding of this, and then move on with the rest of it we're going to talk about. In the hadith, the effects of shukr, being thankful to Allah, are mentioned to be many. One of them is protection. One of the effects of shukr is protection. I'll read you the hadith. The hadith has other elements too. I'll try to explain, inshallah, and we'll move on. The hadith is from Imam Sadiq sallallahu alayhi. He says, according to this narration, ثَلَاثٌ لَا يَضُرُّ مَعَهُنَّ شَيْءٌ. There are three things. Three. If you have these three, nothing in the world can harm you. Pay close attention. The word is لَا يَضُرُّ. Alright? We're going to have to work with this a little bit. Please bear with me. Darar is when you lose something. Loss is darar. He says, if you have three things, nothing in the world is going to harm you. You're not going to lose anything. If you have these three, you're not going to lose anything. Let's see what they are. First one, الدعاء عند الكرب. Karb is the same as huzn, distress and sadness. We're faced in a lot of circumstances in our lives that we can't control but to be sad. Sometimes just nothing helps, right? For hours, we're just hit by it. Some people even hit the state of depression. And it's happening a lot out there. There's a lot of antidepressants. Right? When somebody loses their job, for example, they're thinking about what in the world are they going to do with their mortgage, with their bills, with their family that they need to support. It's difficulty, and what is sanity? You don't know what to do. When one loses a loved one, we feel sad. When we are disrespected sometimes, a lot of things happen that we are sad about. That happens to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should know that. That's a fact. Right? That's a fact. Anything that happens to us in this world, it is brought upon us by Allah. This is a world of test. We should get the notion that we want prosperity in this life, to the extent and in a way that we don't face any difficulty and hardship. Get that out of your mind. You won't have it. In this world, it is not possible to forget about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings this about. So, the Imam says if you have this element, this is the first one, that you do dua during that time. Try to remember that state that you're in when you're very sad and nothing seems to help. A friend of yours tried to come and cheer you up and it doesn't work. I don't know if you've been in that situation. I definitely have. I'm sure everybody has. And no matter who talks to us, the wife tries to cheer you up, doesn't work. The husband tries to cheer you up, doesn't work. Friends, doesn't work. I just want some personal time. And a lot of people, when they're faced with these circumstances, what it leads to is this feeling of the loss of hope. People usually lose hope. That's why a lot of people, when they hit depression, you're afraid. If they don't have faith, you're afraid that they're going to commit suicide. They're losing hope. There's Muslims that sometimes God forbid do it. They're supposedly believing them. The Imam says, look, if you have dua in that state of sadness, you're not going to lose anything. You know what? Actually, you're going to gain benefit. When we're feeling down, when we're feeling sad, the heart is very ready, if we choose to have a very, very good connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Feel that hopelessness, direct that feeling of hopelessness to everything except for God. Realize how when I relied on my job for sustenance, that was wrong. My job is not the one that gives me sustenance. I could lose it any time. I don't have any control over it. They could kick me out any time. They're not the ones that I can rely on. I can go beg them all I want. I'll just be looking like the dummy. I'll be looking back. Direct the loss of hope towards everything but Allah. Realize that. And realize that the only true hope is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we have that, instead of losing that hope and then causing us to make ridiculous decisions, get upset at everything, start cursing, start saying, why did God bring this about on me? Start being rude to my family members. Instead of that, I start to realize my faith is increased instead. I don't lose anything. Yeah, the job was taken away, for example, that loved one is gone, but I didn't really lose anything. Sustenance is going to be provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the only one that provides sustenance. Nobody else does it. Everything else is a means of providing it to you. Don't forget that. Now this, in such a state, instead of losing, if you do dua, if you talk to Allah, ask Him for help, you're not going to lose anything in that scenario. That's one thing, the first. The second one, the Imam says, وَالْإِسْتِغْفَارُ عِنْدَ الذَّنْبِ. When we commit sin, okay, I talked about this a couple of nights. We are supposed to move in the direction of not committing any sins. But most of us are weak. We haven't gained the strength yet. The worst thing we can do is after committing a sin, not repent for it. We have hadith that what is going to throw one completely off path is adhan ala adhan. Committing sin upon sin without repenting. A lot of times we don't take, I didn't talk about this aspect of sin, we don't take sin as seriously as we should. Alright? We think we come to the masjid, we cry for Imam Hussein, we cry for Amir al-Mu'mineen, Alhamdulillah, we do that, but we think that's enough. Okay, you know, everything's, that is great, but we're not taking it as serious as we should. There's a scary verse in the Holy Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ كَانَ عَاقِبَةَ الَّذِينَ أَسَاءُوا السُّوءَ أَنْ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ. The end result of someone who commits misdeeds, commits sins, does wrong, his actions have effects. It is a result of these actions that one starts to deny the ayatullah. What is the greatest ayah and sign of Allah? The greatest signs of Allah. They are ayatullah al-kubra or al-uzma, the real ayatullah al-uzma. The scholars that we call ayatullah or ayatullah al-uzma, that's just the title. The real ayatullah al-uzma are the actual things. Yes, this can lead to one rejecting the other beliefs, not believing in them.